teach. It's a part of their objective, it's a part of their mandate. And at the end of the day, it's vital that our students are tested and assessed under fair conditions and assessment environment. It cannot be whereby you have exams back to back. I see exam week is 2 weeks now. So what that means are 5 working days. So what that means is what they're going to need to do is make sure that there's at least a day in between finals. For these persons who are taking their courses according to the program. That's one of the main things. Huh?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, that's one of the main things. I feel that's really like the primary thing, because at the end of the day, we're doing this for the grade. You know, everybody wants the A, and the grades will affect the transcript. You know, and your transcript, and it affects everything else. And then secondly, the other time is I think we should, we look at some of these objectives. Our message, we're talking about policy, making sure that when you leave, because this 3 years flies very, very quickly. I cannot believe, none of my family can believe like I almost done. But yet here we are. These years fly quickly, and when you does a really poor job of telling you what the next step is. Like, and I mean it serves them right, because they only kind of, teach you for a while. Yeah, but now you got to figure out your way after this. And so, what I really want to do is see how best, firstly, we can engage with the law community. I mean, just the Bar Association, ELF, and whatnot, to see like how you could get more employability for persons when they leave. Let's say you don't work already, okay, and you want to go to bar school, but you also come to work, obviously, you know what I mean? Or whatever, you may not want to go to bar school, you might just want to find a job with your LLB. Whatever the case may be, we need to have more exposure as it relates to career opportunities, and as well as a host of other bar school options, because right now you have to do your own research to find out like what the next step is. Yes, EDLS, and maybe that's by design, because if you really want to go to EDLS, I feel. But there are other options, and I know for a fact that I'm already speaking with some schools in the UK who would be willing to host a virtual meeting with our students, with us, to inform us on what are the requirements to go abroad, how much it is, what they offer, because they have a whole office, they have a whole department that's devoted to that, prospective students. And if we can approach them as a collective and say, we have about 70 law students in the Bahamas who just died and they come to your school, you know what I mean? Just an email, and they will introduce themselves and they will leave. Okay, so that's the next objective. And then our culture, like Christina don't go through being selfish. We don't have to be. The thing is, we all doing the same thing. I don't have to compete with you. You have to compete with me, because why? Your brain is your brain, and guess what? If 6 questions or 8 questions on the exam, you can ask different questions. And so it's really no need to compete. It's just what you know. What I know.
You could be 10 times smarter than me. I got the connection. I could be the last ranked person in the class.
Exactly.
I still end up in the position that you've been trying to get.
Exactly. And it happens. I
say all that to say that there really is enough to go around. What
exactly.
What for me to be for me?
And that's what I'm talking about, networking as well. Because I can tell you, I have a friend of mine. I mean, they teach at the TVI, and they tell their students, yes, you're doing this course, all that is good, and the part of this, I need you to join a club, join a Toastmasters, join a Rotary, join something, anything. You need
know, final exam is worth 60%, right? When we sat to take, first of all, he went into the exam with a failing grade, because he told everybody. He sat the exam, he read the questions, and shortly after he read the questions, he had to use the bathroom. Bean then gone to the bathroom. He take but 40 minutes to come back. When he come back and he sit down, y'all know Bean had to go off her body, right? She yucked that paper up and she throw him out of her exam room. It came to me, oh, that young man is in thought 2 and he in past thought 1. Wow. And guess what? She's so annoyed with him. Last class, it was like hell going on in there. Because, you know, when she doing her little, she wants you, she like cases. She wants you to read your case and what you understand. And he talking about psychiatric injury, not an employer's liability. He was talking about it from the previous semester in terms of breakdown and things like that. Listen to me, being the only thing was left for her to do was choke him out, like being literally humble out her mouth. See, let me end class because y'all get me upset in here. He said, "Do not tell my students that you are saying the wrong thing," and like he's still there rowing with her. And listen to me, she was going. And then you remember the student would tell the whole cohort straight up. Man, my dad, they sent me a letter and said I wasn't successful. My daddy called and then I come to school. Does he come to school like 3 weeks late? Wow. Alright, good. You're right.
Together.
Yeah.
You need people. Don't think you're
exactly. And this is, if I share some, which I will, I share some messages with y'all this week. This young lady was in my group and she came out of the group and she messaged me privately and she said, you know, she just prefer to work alone, which is fine. I've been encouraging people, if you're not a person that likes group work. I don't like group work. However, my goal is not to be a lawyer. I want to be a law professor. So I have a passion for teaching, and hence the reason why it's so easy for me. I don't make a flashcards, little pop quizzes for my little study group and all. It's so easy for me to do these things because I have a love for it. So a lot of people in the group was messaging me, why did she leave? So I said in the group, I said I will not disclose the contents of the message that she sent me. I said everything was done in good faith. I left it at that, and then I move on to say, if you're not capable of doing group work or you prefer to work alone, that's fine. You could take the time now to borrow gracefully, because when we assign cases and you borrowed at the last minute, you could at a disadvantage. So someone in the group went back and made it seem as if my message was directed to her. She jumped in my chat and she was running on. And Gemma, you know, I was the type of person I growl first and then be passive later. I was passive this time until she put in the group. She said, when the question was asked if I wanted to join the group, I literally laughed and said, I guess fine. Said that should have been an indication right there that I was not going to stay very long. So my whole thing to her was, nobody placed you in a group. You had to click a link, and I had to accept your request. I said, you don't have to be nasty about it. And like I asked her, I said, you feel like you're better than someone else. But he paid the same fee to sit here. It was just so nasty, and so I said that says a lot about your character. And she came back after I didn't tell her, like, my message was not for you. Stop making it about you. It was just to say that when you decide to leave the group, when we done assign cases, I had to pick up the cases. So while everybody had 4 cases, I had 10 cases because I had to pick up the cases which you dropped. And the guy texted me back saying, oh, you don't know anything about me besides the 6 letters of my first name. I didn't even know the child first name because I've been calling her Alicia. Apparently she named Alicia. Gemma. Well, they're making it.
Trust me, she could be even her. We can get her a cupcake too.
I said you have the wrong concept about law. I said you never know where you may be. We live in this society where face and who you know can carry you further than a good
Right.
And that lawyer and that I might be the prosecutor on your case.
Exactly, and that's the truth. I mean, the thing is, even our lecturers who are teaching us, they are lawyers, and guess what? We're going to swim in that same pool as them once we're done. And so you don't know. You know what I mean? You just don't know where you're going to meet people. And so this is why I said definitely focusing on our visibility to the wider.
I know, and the previous topic, they can say, she
Well, no, the thing is, this is our agenda, you know what I mean? We definitely, I think at the law society, we don't get invited to a lot of things. We probably don't get as much PR, which is why I'm glad we have Yori on our team, because I know he's going to be able to assist us, with some little feature right here and there, which is important, you know what I mean? Like, we say that NIB, I work in PR, so we say it like the PR. If you want to take no pictures, it ain't happen. So, you gotta have content somewhere. And that's what we try to do. We try to get this stuff out there. So those are the objectives I was thinking about for our speeches. Now, I try all of us know how to write a speech and what we want to say. You're gonna say, after you introduce who you are, you're gonna say why I do believe you should be first here rather than the rest. This is really gonna come from your heart now, because you're gonna say what you think you bring to the table. Like, are you a team builder? Do you believe in the collective? Do you believe in helping the other person? There's only 30 seconds, so you really have to sum up yourself as best as possible, which is why I try to sell all of us as much as possible on the flyer without just simply put in the picture and the position you want. So, what does that really mean? Who are you? So, you really trying to let people, that's the introduction to you're going to do on Monday is so important. So people can get a feel, because I can tell you, people can decide in a second whether they like you or not, if they go with you or not. You went through the AA program, you know what I mean? You could talk about that. You could talk about, what you believe in, and why you want to do this. Okay? Some of it could be BS.
Of course.
Yeah. But then, I feel like if you start with the truth, BS in the middle, and the truth, it will. Exactly.
It's on this morning.
Yeah. So, that's it. Basically, it's 30 seconds, not on Monday, but it's 30 seconds on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course,
throw in the promotional gifts, and that's when you really to get to break the ice to people too. When you walk up, like people you talk to them and as you giving out, they got to flow, trust me, you can feel the energy. As you giving out your bags, so you get to hear from them, you get to hear feedback, and then you get to say, can I ask for your vote? I'm asking for your vote. People tell you, sometimes they lie, but most of the time, these students, I find like, you can pretty much be sure who's saying they can do it. And the ones who have like a little to someone else, you can tell, you can gauge, But like I say, I honestly, thank you for agreeing, Yuri, to what we are gathered there with them also, right? And then, so final review of the play. There's no more on the speeches and the message. I feel like I said about them. Then we can assume general Q&A at the end. Final review of the flyer. Let me just play the midfield. I think I sent the flyers. Yeah, I did. I sent out already. Leo, you want to change? I corrected the spelling of your last name. Y'all look at the screen, right? Or is it paused? Click on agenda. Oh, sorry. Hold on.
And also too, Gemma, why is there no Roman numerals behind my name?
Yuri, you know something? I thought that you're not Yuri, Yuri Camp too?
Nope. Only me one.
I feel like when I added your name one time, like some people's names, like they automatically have like their name attached to their phone number.
Oh, okay.
I felt like you have Yuri A Camp. Your middle name was A, right?
It's 8, yeah.
Yeah, I got that from somewhere.
Oh Lord.
Oh, you like public international law?
Yeah, I love that class.
That was wrong. You talk to Leo, Lord. Leo will love you. Oh God. Leo was honestly Stevenson part too, I ain't gonna lie. You think you already like public international law? Jesus. How much you can have a pill party? I need that. I really the book all because the woman's a read it law. So I have to go home and read.
Hey, listen. Question. Seeing as how you're all talking about that, right? I took an exception in the before. I noticed basically all your favorite law discipline somewhere there's taught.
That's a simple one.
Oh, all right. I'm trying to figure out
Properly. I mean, especially with employees' liability.
Life,
thought on this paper.
Oh yes.
How hard this thing she
Oh yes.
boy.
Yeah, like I see it,
Right.
like for example, like I see where nobody is here. My favorite is contract. I see that I see it like that.
I was wondering who know what they contract.
They ain't gonna see that. Don't worry about it. You won't need that.
We contract law with some of the court, like in a way. So I just like.
Who's that crazy person talking?
Yeah, but Dominic, you have contract on your.
Dominic is a madman. I be like, contract what?
That and administrative law, and I just like how the administrative law is simple too. Just like how either you were empowered to do it or you didn't, or you were, you know what I mean? I find it easy on every day. Every day.
And the leany start, but you know, the contract is the contract and it's voidable and unvoidable. I said, God.
Yeah.
Your third year, looking for you, and so straightforward.
Yeah.
What do you want to look for again? I don't want to see none of the rest of them.
So how we feeling about Walker? I made the changes. Walker said he in love with law enforcement, like that, so I changed that.
So, see my channel.
Okay. So let me go. Let me think I'm gonna take it. See the whole thing. Hold on, no. I have to slide up and down that because I want you to be able to see it. Okay. So second year rep, efficient, multi-talented, bold.
Yeah, Jama, you know me good.
I try to do my best, Charles.
Different submarine.
Mm-hmm. And I know you're a business tycoon, so.
I wait till working on something new. I can't wait.
Okay, so that's Leo. Leo, you good with yours?
Let me see the
You want to say sorry?
points.
Okay.
You just look like the politician who get.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I try to remember you for law enforcement in mind.
Pardon me? I didn't hear you.
I try to remember you put law enforcement in mind. But yeah, that's good. I'm fine with that.
That's cool. Okay. Anybody else want eyeball left flyer one more time? While I in the app, I could make some changes.
Pastor gal, you did a good job. On point and everything.
I know you say.
I thought you were on point and everything with these flyers.
Oh.
This looks like a little side business right there.
I think you all that thing.
Put fun on this.
Okay. Take it with her. Yori, I remove your Roman numeral.
Yeah, that's fine. That's cool. Thank you, Gemma. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that master wordsmith. People are supposed to brackets meet me outside.
Don't do it.
I got a little shade there, you know, right?
But keep me outside or meet me to the voters box. Meet me to the voters box.
I gotta put you live.
The only put in your leg. Well, I never see Simon, so I read it in my life. Only time he's mad at me, call him a liar and a sissy. I can tell you that for a fact.
Wow.
Walker, you good, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then that's me.
And then
Joey, you was good with yours?
Yeah, but I get to that, and then that's, of course, interest, that's what I have an interest in. That don't mean that, not like get into it, that don't mean that,
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
no problem.
I will play this video. Y'all can hear this video if I play it. Okay.
No.
Y'all can hear the video, but okay, I just sent it in the group. Okay, make it easier. Alright, so yeah, any other questions? Anything else we didn't get to touch on?
Jay,
Hey.
is there any way that you can add the Christina Cares study group there?
Oh
Yes. I don't mind helping them out. In fact, I'm looking to organize something where I could devote some time to assisting them when they weak.
Christina, listen, I honest to God just now, I was just about to say before I come off of this, I can say, Christina, I need to drop you a message in the PM because I want to ask one or two questions about, just trying to feel a way through this, and I just try to, sort of get my legs in the program, I don't want to be trying to, I'm still in second year trying to figure this thing out, I still, you understand what I'm saying, in terms of, strategies and, this how I find is the easiest way or what's the most beneficial way to give this class or this particular lecture.
So you want my honest truth?
Yeah, I do. That's why I say
I bullshit, and I told Gemma this. I bullshit the entire first year.
Okay.
Now happened this year. I am much more focused. Right now, I devote 30 hours of study each week. I have and I stick to that.
Yes, strategy.
Right down to I have a time to eat, a time to take a shower, hours a lot for sleep. I have water breaks. I literally have my life details.
You have to get a little crazy.
Yeah, it has to be insane. But it's a method to my madness.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely need to share some more light on that. Because the thing about it is, I know what it's like to operate on a very
Okay, Joey, sorry, 1 second. I can let you and Christina. Y'all can talk about that.
Yeah.
When we come offline, okay?
Send me the new one.
Huh?
Send me the new one with the changes.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sending it. Anybody else? You good? Okay. So I'll send the video. We can look at it, and then you'll be posting your own flyer on Monday evening.
Don't forget the content of the video now. Since you changed the
the video automatically goes with the flyer. So once I download it again, all these pages will be saved over. All right. So I'd say Monday 5 p.m. we can start. Bam.
I wish I could have been in a classroom when these hands is going out, but I want to see the look on their face.
Yeah. People will be shocked. I believe they will be, because I didn't say anything to anyone. No one. All right. So we good? Any other questions? If you have any more, I guess you can post in the group. Just so what's up.
All right, lady. Y'all be best. Go in love.
Thank you. Okay. Good night.
In prayer, please.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Leo.
Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for all that you have done in our lives. We thank you for this opportunity to come together. Our share ideas, about unity. We ask as we go through this semester that you give us all the wisdom, knowledge, understanding to face all the obstacles of the face and come out successful in our endeavors. Just give me praise.
Good night, everybody, and welcome once again to another Lime Vibe Live podcast. I'm sorry for the late start. I was in a meeting slightly before this. I just jumped out of that Zoom meeting to come here, but thank you for joining me for another Lime Vibe Live podcast. I'm your host, Yori Arman Kemp, here from the beautiful and wet and rainy country of the Bahamas, Nassau to be exact, Nassau, the Bahamas. I'm in the capital city. So if you have not done so, please like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch page as Lime Vibe 77, as Lime Vibe and the number 77 at YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We really would appreciate that. So thank you for joining me again for another show tonight. We had some sad news to start off with tonight. I don't know if you guys heard about what happened in Jamaica with the teenage boy Jamari Reed. He was found eaten half eaten by a shark. He went spearfishing on Monday, and his body came back without a head. My condolences to his father and his family. He's only 16 years old. The headless body of a teenager just washed up on the shores Tuesday morning in Jamaica. Come to find out, he was eaten by a shark. His head was eaten and one of his arms was off. And they said he went spearfishing on Monday afternoon and didn't come back. And then his body came floating back up. So we just want to pray for the family of Jamari Reed. And we just hope that, they have the solace and the comfort that they've lost a loved one. And that, they could find the strength to move on from that. So once again, condolences to the family of Jamari Reed from Jamaica, from Trelawney, Jamaica, who died from being bitten and attacked by a shark. So please put them in your prayers. Another brighter story from Jamaica, though. Apparently, the Minister for the Public Service and Finance, Mr. Nigel Clark, he's been appointed to the International Monetary Fund as a deputy managing director. So Nigel Clark is going to the deputy director spot at the IMF, deputy managing director at the IMF. Clark, of course, is an Oxford-trained mathematician and statistician, and so he's well competent and qualified, and he understands his numbers. And of course, everyone's saying how he brought Jamaica out of the COVID-19 pandemic, and he ushered them in through economic stability, relatively so for Jamaica. So we just want to say, congratulations to Dr. Clark. Not Dr. Clark, he's Mr. Clark. He's not a doctor yet. He has a master's degree, not a doctor's degree. So we just want to say, congratulations and good luck to Mr. Clark. And we just want to say, though, it seems so rushed that he just jumped off to the IMF. And now his Prime Minister Holness, Andrew Holness of Jamaica, he's scrambling around the place looking for a Minister of Finance replacement. So haven't you not spoken about this with President and Prime Minister Holness? It seems as if he blindsided Mr. Holness. That's what it looks to me. Because how can now Prime Minister Holness be scrambling around the place looking for a replacement for Mr. Clark? How did you not talk to him about this? I mean, you just don't up and go to the IMF. You have to have some interviews. You have to have some kind of vetting done about you, Mr. Clark. So unless you meant to do that to Mr. Holness, let him go out there blindly and just suffer blindly without knowing what you were going to do, then man, my goodness, that shows that something's going on inside the Holness cabinet. It's not all as was cracked to be. Unless Mr. Clark is getting up before the ship sinks. That could be the case, but we're not sure. We're not sure what's going on. But I know that no one just up and goes to the IMF. Your Prime Minister, your Minister for Finance and Minister for the Public Servants just doesn't up and jump to the IMF without the Prime Minister knowing. That's not how it works. All those appointments come politically. So now, if that's the case, why is Mr. Holness scrambling around the place looking for a Minister for Finance? He still hasn't appointed someone yet, and Mr. Clark is going very, very soon. Something's wrong there. Something's not adding up there. Another somber story. In the United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, reports that some 5 million Haitians are suffering from food insecurity due to the political and economic crisis in Haiti. They said since March, the humanitarian situation has deteriorated rapidly as armed groups have escalated coordinated attacks in Port-au-Prince. Despite the Kenyan troops being there and the coalition growing with even more international troops, the gang still have Port-au-Prince under control, and they still need a president. This surge in violence has pushed even more people into extreme vulnerability, the report said, not only in neighborhoods and localities affected by armed groups, but also in areas from the capital that have become host to hundreds of thousands of internally displaced people, IDPs, internally displaced peoples. They said about at least 400,000 people are being displaced. 400,000 plus people are being displaced as a result of this. Moved out of their homes. Yes, violently moved out of their homes to somewhere else. Just escaping the gang violence and the viciousness that's going on in Haiti. We still have to pray for Haiti, man. I hope Haiti can actually come to grips with this political and economic crisis. And this would be a good lesson. If you don't like your leader, please keep your leader until you vote him up, because assassinating him like I did Jovenel Moise in 2018 was not a good thing, not a good strategy. So we hope that Haiti could get themselves out of this. But they've had a spiral like this since Papa Doc. They've been spiraling out of control since Papa Doc, and they've never really grabbed themselves by the bootstraps and picked themselves up. But you know what I've heard? Someone has told me, at least from what I've come to understand, is that The main issue with Haiti is that, one, they don't speak English, and two, of course, they're black. So no one's going to care for a black country in the Western Hemisphere next to the United States that doesn't speak English. Let's just call that true, right? And so that's why they haven't been getting the attention that we think they should get. France dropped them years ago, at least 200, 300 years ago, because of the Haitian Revolution. So no one really cares about Haiti. No one really cares. That's just the truth about it. No one really cares. So here's the hope now that, the African countries and the Caribbean countries, along with Canada and the United States again, can actually come and do something to help Haiti to get itself off of its back. We hope so. But on to more prosperous news, though. The governor of Bahamas just signed a heads of agreement for the Grand Bahama Shipyard that's owned by Carnival Cruise Lines and Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, along with the Grand Bahama Port Authority. There's a deal worth over $655 million to develop the shipyard and to develop the area of Freeport and to bring more investments into the Freeport shipyard area. That shipyard is going to serve as a docking facility for large cruise ships, and it's going to be a place where they are repaired or either dismantled or reissued again. So Carnival Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean is spending over $655 million in the Grand Bahama shipyard area, hoping to revitalize that area, and they signed the heads of agreement on Wednesday. They signed the heads of agreement on Wednesday for that. And so to release that money and show how that money is going to actually benefit the Grand Bahama Island and the shipyard and the environs around the shipyard for the Grand Bahamian people. Isn't that good? They say these cruise lines are only into themselves, but they're spending the money to invest in the Grand Bahama shipyard, at least for that. They say they're going to transform the shipyard and put it on track to be the largest floating dock ship repair facility in the Western Hemisphere. You can't beat that. You can't beat that at all. So thank you so much, Carnival Cruise Lines. Thank you so much, Royal Caribbean. We appreciate your investment. On to another story. I don't know if you guys have heard of the interview that Kamala Harris did with CNN. The U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and presidential candidate Kamala Harris. People are criticizing it. They're saying that she came there with her vice presidential candidate, Tim Walz. She couldn't do an interview by herself, and that's been the knock of Kamala Harris, that she can't really do an interview, and she really can't speak off the cuff. And so they've been hiding and shielding up in the media. I'm gonna play a few videos for you. I'm gonna let you see the first one. This is from the USA Today and their analysis on it. Let's look at this now.
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020 that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking. Let's be clear, my values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate.
Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
When he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here, I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces, and we had just had pancakes and, Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes, I'll make you more bacon. And then we were sitting down to do a puzzle. And the phone rang, and it was Joe Biden. And he told me what he had decided to do. And I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And then that's.
Well, let's stop right there. If you believe that story, she was sitting down with her baby nieces and they asked for bacon, you believe that you're a bigger nitwit than I am, right? So we were sitting down and my baby nieces, we were about to play a puzzle and they wanted more bacon. Get off of that. Stop it.
That's how I learned about it.
And what about the endorsement? Did you ask for it?
He was very clear that he was going to support me.
A moment that you shared, that the world shared with your son Gus, you were speaking, the camera caught him so incredibly proud of you, so emotional, saying, "That's my dad."
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, that was so pathetic. Look at that goofball. Look at the cries, man. That's so weak. That's so weak and pansy. Look at that, man. I would have been ashamed if that was me on television like that, man. Look at these so pathetic.
I don't know as a father I could have ever imagined that. I'm grateful for so many reasons to be on this ticket, but that moment, to understand what was really important, to have my son feel a sense of pride in me, that I was trying to do the right thing, and it was, you try and protect your kids, it brings notoriety and things, but it was just such a visceral, emotional moment that I'm grateful I got to experience it, and I'm so proud of him.
Oh my God, that was so sickening. Jesus creepers, man. That was so sickening. If you believe that nonsense, but making bacon, then you're a bigger fool than I am. No one believes that. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. But let's take a more cynical look at the Kamala Harris interview. This is from Sky News now. Sky News is a Fox News affiliate, and so they take a very hard tone against the Democrats. And these guys, these Australian, this Sky News, they've gone off the leash on the Democrats, man. And they have no stake in the U.S. presidential elections. They have no stake at all. I guess they're doing the work of Rupert Murdoch, but this is just insane. Let's watch this. This is Sky News.
John Fund, we've now had the big interview. Your reaction to what can only be called an absolute symphony of platitudes?
Well, Kamala Harris has graduated from the word salad school of rhetoric to the meaningless tripe school of rhetoric. I've never heard so many empty words recently in any interview from any presidential candidate. The whole thing reminded me of an infomercial, except that in an infomercial they actually try to sell the product and they actually often succeed. In this case, it was an infomercial that was completely void of content.
Now, John, I want to get your reaction to some of the specific bits of this here, like this particular part, which I thought was very telling, when she's asked about Joe Biden's condition, what she knew, and if she regrets defending him.
You insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply.
He cares. That's all that we care about. It's all the big caring candidacy. But this is a very big question here. I mean, how much did she know about Joe Biden's condition for all of these months and years that he was on the decline?
We're never going to know. There is something in journalism called the rule of the follow-up, James, which is if the person you're asking the question of completely avoids the question, you follow up to try to nail them down. The thing that was missing from this, in addition to tough, hard-hitting questions, was almost no follow-ups.
Yeah, and we didn't just also hear from Kamala Harris tonight. We also heard from Tim Walz, who was sort of in this weird position, to use that word weird, as a sort of the emotional support puppy or something like that. I was astounded, though, when we're talking about tough questions, by this answer when he was asked about what he had said about whether or not he served in combat.
You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeve.
That's the problem, John. He just cared too much.
Look, Tim Walz not only didn't answer any of the questions really that were asked of him, the impression that the whole interview gave was that he was her lawyer accompanying Kamala Harris to a deposition to make sure that she didn't say something wrong. Or maybe perhaps a parent accompanying a student to a parent-teacher conference to try to give, as you say, emotional support. There was no reason for him to be there except one. The interview would be shorter with two people rather than with one. As it was, the interview was 28 minutes. CNN padded it, of course, to a full hour.
Yeah, no, and just talking about follow-up questions there, I was amazed that there was no follow-up questions about Tim Walz and what he said about the rank at which he left the service, no questions about him leaving the service and resigning his National Guard post before they shipped out to a combat zone in either Iraq or Afghanistan. Again,
Yeah, man, Kamala's getting it from all sides, man. She's getting it from all sides. That's Sky News. I got one more video to show you. This is from The Hill. The Hill, they're pretty much conservative-leaning media organization. They almost run like a blog. And The Hill, these two ladies, they just went in on Kamala Harris too, man. They say it was a flop. CNN just gave too many powder puff questions. Dana Bash gave too many powder puff questions. And you got to give CNN some credit, and that's the first time Kamala Harris sat down and talked to anybody. So you can't really go and barrage someone right off the bat, even though she's the presidential candidate, right? So I understand why they didn't want to attack her like that, right? But let's look at this one. This one is from The Hill.
So, is no news good news? Nothing majorly breaking came out of the rather lukewarm interview with Kamala Harris that went off without any major gaffes or so-called word salads, but still the media pounced. The Daily Beast quickly turned around a write-up of the interview that the media had been begging for, writing a blistering review of CNN's Dana Bash, who conducted the interview, writing, quote, Harris and Walz were excellent, even if Dana Bash's insipid questions merely recycled limp GOP critiques and made clear why such interviews have so little value for voters. Trump senior advisor Jason Miller gave his hot take on Newsmax this morning.
It did not look presidential. There's a certain threshold that you have to meet when you're looking presidential. Can you lead this country? Other candidates in the past have had it. I don't see that with Kamala Harris.
CNN's Michael Smerconish had a different take.
I think the headline today is that there is no headline, right? That there was really no news made from the event other than the fact that it occurred after her being, the Democratic candidate for thereabout a month. She achieved her purpose, which is that the two of us right now are not discussing any viral video. Hippocratic oath, first rule, do no harm. It applies to politics.
Well, let's dig into the media angle here, Jessica. I want to start with the aesthetics of the interview, which were horrible. So you had this sort of boardroom-looking setup. Apparently they were in some kind
which was horrible. Anyway, let's finish watching these two ladies.
Restaurant or diner. And oddly, Kamala Harris was in the background of the shot, whereas Tim Walz, Dana Bash were in the foreground. They put Kamala in a gray suit. She was kind of blending in. There's this water cup down on the floor between her feet. And during one of the zoomed-in shots of Kamala Harris, one of the ISO shots, you could actually see Dana Bash's papers shuffling above the chyron. So just from a visual standpoint, this was a disaster. I think whoever produced this for CNN probably ought to be at least given a rough talking to, if not fired. And then the length of it was obviously a problem. Kamala Harris only spoke for about 16 minutes herself. The interview in its entirety was obviously longer, but CNN had to stretch this out across an entire hour of programming with these sort of pre-packaged videos and commercial breaks instead of just playing the whole thing through to make it look longer than it was. I think, as a journalist, if you're offered this interview, obviously you want to be the person who gets this exclusive sit-down, the first one with Kamala Harris after becoming the Democratic nominee. But you should try to probably negotiate more time than 20, 30 minutes, and you should probably try to negotiate solo interviews with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and you should probably try to set up a better aesthetic shot than the one that they had. And if you're Dana Bash, you should be pushing back harder on some of these questions as opposed to just sort of teeing up the most bare minimum challenging question and then immediately moving on once the answer is given.
Yeah, Dana Bash has a hard job. If she asks questions that are critical, she's unfair. If she doesn't, then she's weak. She's going to get destroyed by the media either way from either side. And so in a sit-down interview, you want to have a conversation. And because there's so many decision makers at CNN and producers who have questions, and it's a whole network really coming up probably with these questions, I would, push back on the fact that
does Dana Bash even make all of the decisions that are asked there? It's really CNN that I hold responsible for this interview going the way it did. Because if you're sitting down with someone and you're a reporter or journalist, you want to get something out of them that does make the news, that's not something they've already said before, you're going to have to let the conversation go where it goes. Having a scripted sit-down conversation doesn't always take you to interesting places, and I think that's the lesson here. And when everyone's like, please do more media interviews, come on Kamala Harris, I was saying they're doing it because they want to make money. They want people to be watching their network. People want to see what the presidential candidates have to say. And so, they're really criticizing her to force her into a position that's favorable to them. I saw someone post on Twitter when they said the media is saying, or Chuck Todd is saying Kamala Harris should do more interviews, do interviews one day a week. They said Chef Boyardee, Kamala Harris should eat ravioli one night a week. That's really how I see it all. But if you're going to do the sit down, you're going to get the big interview. At least make it personable. Get her to open up a little bit. And it just was so dry and sterile. And it might be where they were. You make a good point as to where CNN decided to have this sit down interview. But Tim Walz is a very different person when he's doing Subway Takes, which is a popular online interview forum. He's sitting casually, they're asking questions they don't normally ask. It's much more watchable, it gets more views, and you can still ask policy questions in a comfortable setting. Kamala Harris is a lot more lively and interesting when she's not in this sit-down setting. So I don't know, I credit a lot of this to the same things I have criticisms over in regular mainstream media. It's just a bit stuffy. It's not something people want to watch anymore. I think you're right that the motivations of the media here are suspect because they want access to the candidate, right? They started criticizing Kamala about 20, 30 days into her not giving interviews, which I think I predicted on this show was going to happen because they want this quid pro quo relationship. They want to be able to have her on their programs. But at the same time, it's also legitimate that she should have to answer to the American people off of a teleprompter. She should have to talk about her policy positions and the changes that she's made with some tough questioning. I think that's a benefit to the country and a democracy. The scripted questions were not great for doing that because it was pretty clear that Dana Bash had a list of, let's say, 10 questions that she was planning on asking these candidates, and she was not going to veer from that script. I thought that was most obvious when she questioned Tim Walz about his misrepresentations of his service record. She distilled it down to this one moment where he talked about carrying weapons in war, which gave him the opportunity to say that he merely misspoke, or his wife referred to him as not having the best grammar. But the issue surrounding the stolen valor narrative is much greater than this one moment. It includes the fact that he continues to misrepresent his rank in the military, a rank that he never earned. It glossed over the fact that former members of his unit in the Minnesota National Guard said that he knew that they were getting deployed before he retired to run for Congress and essentially abandoned them. It glossed over the fact that there's videos from decades, from the past 15 years, where Tim Walz is introduced as a combat veteran and he nods and claps along without ever correcting them. So she really gave him the opportunity to squirm out from under what are legitimate questions about the way he's represented his service record. And my guess is it's probably never going to be asked again because other journalists are going to say, well, Dana Bash covered that, but she didn't really. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the Tim Walz attacks have been responded to and debunked to like a nauseating degree, and so focusing on that would not be giving the American people anything new. I think Tim Walz has done a really good job being on the media circuit, doing a ton of long sit-down interviews on podcasts, doing more fun online interviews with people like Subway Takes. And so I think we know who Tim Walz is. He's had to respond for this record a lot. We've seen the back and forth about, he actually did file to run for office some months before they ever got their deployment orders. He filed to run for office before there was even an inkling that his, division of the National Guard, his unit, would ever potentially be deployed, and that was within the next 2 years. He made a statement that he was willing to serve the country, whether in Afghanistan or in Minnesota, and then when things got very close to the election cycle and there still weren't these orders, he decided to start the retirement process after 24 years of service. Typically, that's after 20 years. He would have been in his 40s when he was deployed, if he was. So
Okay. Yeah. We get it. Tim Walz is a fraud. Okay, we get it. That's fine. So yeah, that was the analysis from the Kamala Harris / Tim Walz interview on CNN. And like I said, it wasn't that glittering, man. I mean, some of these things is just absolutely. I mean, it was such a softball interview. I saw it too. It was a softball interview, man. But what can you expect? You know, they're trying to get it to be more open with the media, and so I guess in time you're going to see a lot more harder hitting interviews as well. And like one of the ladies said just then, you know, you can't really blame Dana Bash for the questioning. You know, she was given a mandate from the CNN executives and the CNN newsroom to ask these certain questions to do this a certain way, and she followed her instructions. And so she couldn't veer off from what her script was. And she knew better. She wouldn't have a job if she didn't do it. You know, so that's where we are with that. So, I appreciate Kamala Harris. You know, I love her for the fact that she has Caribbean roots and she has some affection and affinity towards us because she has been helping the Central American Caribbean region since she's been in office. However, you know, it's clear that Donald Trump is going to be reelected, and this is just a show for the next election. You know, it's clear that Donald Trump's going to win the next election. You know, it's obvious. I mean, he's the most rational choice, despite his convictions. Really and truly. Anyone who's thinking that Kamala Harris could be the president of the United States, you have to be out of your mind. But I guess they said the same thing about Trump when he beat Hillary Clinton that year as well, too. That would be out of your mind. But I believe that was just a bunch of hullabaloo. No, this is real. This is real. Because you're seeing now that Kamala Harris really just is not cut out for this job. You're seeing she brought her vice presidential candidate to the interview, her first sit-down interview with the media. You brought someone else to help you? Can you lead the United States? Can you help us? I don't think you can. I just don't think you can. Anyway, let's start from the top of the show. Like I said, we send prayers out for the family of Jamari Reed, a 16-year-old boy that was found attacked by sharks, his head eaten off and his arm eaten off by a shark in Jamaica, Trelawney. He's from Trelawney, Jamaica. He went spear fishing on Monday and his body washed up on Tuesday, victim of a shark attack. So we just want to pray for the family of Jamari Reed, 16 years old, lost his life in a fishing expedition, a spear fishing expedition in Jamaica. We also want to give kudos to Mr. Nigel Clark, the Minister for Finance and the Public Service in Jamaica. He's being elevated to the International Monetary Fund Deputy Managing Director's position. And so no idea when he starts work, but we found it curious as well. We mentioned this as well, how Andrew Holness, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, seems to be blindsided by this appointment because he's right now scrambling to get a Minister for Finance. How could you not know that Mr. Clark was going to the IMF? That sounds very suspicious, Mr. Holness. Mr. Clark probably stuck that to you. And we also have the United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA. They're reporting that there are 5 million people in Haiti right now suffering from food insecurity. And there's about 480,000 people that have been displaced by gangs and the political and economic turmoil and strife and crisis that's happening in Haiti right now. And it's gotten worse. It's getting worse every day. It's not getting better. There's no turnaround. The gangs are still in the streets of Port-au-Prince. And even though the Kenyan troops are there, you know, people are still fighting in the streets, and it's still upheaval in Haiti. We have to pray for our brothers and sisters in Haiti. We hope that they can get this turned around. And we also spoke about the Bahamas, the Royal Caribbean, and the Carnival Cruise Lines that have come together with the Grand Bahama Shipyard and the Grand Bahama Port Authority to actually invest $655 million into the Grand Bahama Shipyard, which is going to serve as floating dock repair and ship repair facility for large cruise lines and ships of any size as well. It's going to be the largest one in the Western Hemisphere, so that's what they're touting it as. And so we just want to thank Carnival Cruise Lines and Royal Caribbean for investing that kind of money into the Grand Bahama Shipyard. And they're also going to be investing in the environs and Freeport as well, giving Freeport some much needed investments. They're going to invest in an apprenticeship program and some ancillary businesses around the shipyard area. So we just want to thank them for investing into the Grand Bahama area. Lastly, we also spoke about the Kamala Harris interview. We went ad nauseum about that. So we just want to say, you know, something. We just don't think she's going to win. Absolutely not. Not like that. It's too weak. At least when Trump ran against Hillary Clinton, they saying he was going to win. Trump was actually making some points, and he actually was saying things very authoritatively. Kamala Harris came on the gate weak, and she had a weak interview, and she was weak at that interview. So she had a weak interview with Dana Bash at CNN, and she came on even weaker in the interview. How can you do that? It flopped. It was just a huge flop. Anyway, that's the U.S. presidential elections for November, and we just hope everyone's have a safe election. No violence this time, and everyone accepts the vote, whatever happens, Mr. Trump or Ms. Harris. So there you have it, another Line Vibe Live podcast. Like I said, I apologize for starting late tonight. I was in a meeting slightly before I came on. I came on like around 9ish. And so thank you for joining me again for another Line Vibe Live podcast. I'm your host, Yari Yarman Kemp. Here from the beautiful but now rainy islands of the Bahamas, New Providence, the Bahamas to be exact. And so if you have not done so, please like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch page. That's Line Vibe 77. That's Line Vibe 77 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We would like to have you join us every Friday evening here on Line Vibe, starting at 8:30 every Friday evening. So thank you so much, and we'll see you again next week, Friday, God willing. Goodbye.